Hello everyone, welcome back to Woodlawn Memorial Park here in Nashville, Tennessee. This large cemetery is the final resting place of many of the biggest stars in country music. Last week, I visited the grave of Country Music Hall of Famer Webb Pierce. This week, I'm going to walk just a few steps down the hill and visit the final resting place of another country music legend, the great Marty Robbins. Martin David Robinson was born in Glendale, Arizona on September 26, 1925. Growing up in Arizona, Marty developed a love of the American West, a love that he would retain throughout his career and for the rest of his life. As a teenager, Marty dropped out of high school and joined the United States Navy, serving in the Solomon Islands during World War II. It was during his time in the Navy that Marty learned to play the guitar and began writing songs. In 1947, Marty was discharged from the Navy. In the following year, he married the love of his life, Arizona Baldwin. The couple lived in Phoenix, where Marty began performing at local events and on local radio stations. In the early 1950s, Marty hosted a TV program called The Western Caravan. One of his guests on the caravan was Little Jimmy Dickens. The two men became friends, and Little Jimmy helped secure a recording contract for Marty with Columbia Records. Marty soon moved to Nashville, and on January the 19th, 1953, he joined the Grand Ole Opry. He quickly became one of the Opry's most popular stars, and in addition to his Opry appearances, Marty maintained a hectic tour schedule, where his shows would often run close to 2 hours. The fans loved it, and Marty loved performing for them. In the mid-1960s, Marty developed an interest in stock car racing. He built a race car and began running it at the old Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. He convinced the Opry management to allow him to perform on the last segment of the Opry so he could race at the fairgrounds and then hustle across town to make his appearance on the Opry. From the weekly races at the fairgrounds, Marty moved up and tried his luck at the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. He would always try to qualify for the big races like the Daytona 500, the Winston 500, and the World 600, and from time to time he would attempt to qualify for a few of NASCAR's smaller events like at Martinsville and Rockingham and North Wilkesboro. Over a period of 13 years, Marty Robbins would compete in 35 Winston Cup events, finishing in the top 10 6 times. Although he never won a pole and he never won a race, Marty always said, "Man, it was fun trying." While racing, Marty would continue to tour and perform on the Opry. It became a tradition that he would always take the last spot on the Opry, and it was not uncommon for his shows to run over the allotted time. This would cause the Ernest Tubb Midnight Jamboree that followed the Opry on WSM to start late. This was a source of friction between Ernest and Marty, and while Marty made light of the situation, Ernest would be stewing across the street at his record shop. Over his 35-year career, Marty Robbins would record more than 500 songs and 60 albums. His 1952 hit, "I'll Go It Alone," was his first #1 single. 4 years later, "Singin' the Blues" became his second single to reach the #1 spot on the country charts. Marty enjoyed 2 more #1 hits in 1958 when he released "A White Sport Coat," followed by "The Story of My Life." Then, in 1959, Marty recorded El Paso. This would become not only his biggest hit, but his signature song. El Paso won him a Grammy for the best country western song in 1961. He would win a second Grammy in 1971 for My Woman, My Woman, My Wife, which was Marty's 14th #1 single. Over his career, Marty would release several other popular hits, including Don't Worry, Big Iron, and Devil Woman, just to name a few. In October 1982, Eddie Arnold would induct Marty Robbins into the Country Music Hall of Fame. The next month, on November 7th, 1982, he would race in the Atlanta Journal 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This would be his final NASCAR Winston Cup Race. A month later, on December 2nd, 1982, Marty suffered a heart attack and underwent bypass surgery. He would not recover and passed away at the age of 57 on December 8th, 1982. On a personal note, I was able to see Marty Robbins perform several times, and I can honestly say that he never left his audience disappointed. His shows would often run close to 2 hours, and I don't believe any other entertainer enjoyed performing for his fans more than Marty Robbins did. He was truly a country music legend and an American treasure. Well, this brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed my visit to the final resting place of Grand Ole Opry star and Country Music Hall of Famer Marty Robbins. If you did, remember I upload a new video every Sunday morning. So if you haven't already, I hope you'll consider ringing that bell and subscribing. And while you're at it, a thumbs up is always appreciated. So until next week, please remember, life is a wonderful journey. Be sure to take time and enjoy it. And I'll see you down the road. So long, everyone.